Hey everybody, Brian Miller here from the Star Wars Canon podcast, and I've got a video for tonight that I actually wasn't planning on doing, but it's a pleasant surprise. It's something I think we can deal with for the night, considering what it is. I guess today they did a live stream event talking about the High Republic Star Wars stuff that we're getting starting tomorrow at the time of this recording, starting tomorrow. And High Republic is something I've been very excited for, and it's something I think Lucasfilm needs at this point, especially coming off of a sequel, a set of sequel films, the way that the way they have and the way they've been received. I shouldn't say I've always. At this point, I believe Rogue One, and this has to do with it, I promise. At this point, I believe Rogue One is the gold standard for Disney, and the reason I think that film works so well is because these were new characters that we'd never seen before. Yeah, you had a couple characters in there, Tarkin and Vader, but they were used the way they should have been used. They were there, but they weren't, part of the main story. You had this story wrapped around these new characters that, yeah, granted, they didn't have a lot of screen time for us to really get to know them before what, ultimately happened to them, but good characters nonetheless, and a good story. Rogue One is the gold standard for me as far as Disney's concerned. Now with High Republic, I think they have another opportunity to do something like that. And this is, for those of you that don't know, I don't know who doesn't know at this point. This is set 200 years before the Phantom Menace. This is the High Republic. We're back far enough now where Lucasfilm is not constricted by some story elements that are already there. When they were coming into the sequel trilogy, they had the prequels and the originals there that they had to work off of. This is different. This isn't the same case. Granted, there's a lot of source material that they could pull from in Legends. There is, but this is its own thing, So I'm excited to see what Lucasfilm can do when they're not, what's the word I'm looking for? Confined by certain story parameters, where they can actually make their own characters and actually make a plan and make something that I think is really going to be something cool. And the fact that they're doing storyboards and treating it like a film, getting all of the authors for all these different pieces of media in the same room together to sit down and do this concept art and hammer out these character profiles and where they want the story to go. This is awesome. This is what they should have been doing from day one upon purchasing Lucasfilm. This is what they should have been doing day one for the sequel films. So I'm excited to see what this is. I think this is 53 minutes long, almost 53 minutes long. I figured since I was in Wichita day to day and I didn't get to watch this, and I know there's a trailer too for this as well. I figured we'd sit down and watch it together. It's basically a reaction video to this, and if you guys haven't seen it yet, you can watch it with me. We'll figure out what's going on with this thing. But I'm very excited to see what High Republic has to offer. So let's get into this, man. Let's just jump right in. I got it queued up here, and here we go. Hit play.
Welcome, everybody. We couldn't be more thrilled to be starting the High Republic Publishing Initiative, and we've got this wonderful selection of authors here for a panel discussion and to explain a little bit more about what this era is inside of Star Wars. We put together this piece that gives you some idea of what the High Republic era is all about.
Cool.
Enjoy.
Oh, they're going to show the trailer.
Are the guardians of peace and justice. Beyond the stars,
some of those sabers look sick,
frontier.
Dude.
Our order was meant to shine its light in even the darkest corners of the galaxy. There, we found an evil that none of us had trained for, that threatens all we know.
Some of this concept art, man, looks sick. That's a sick ship. Centuries before the Skywalker saga. Coruscant, Jedi Temple. Yoda. A mega story. Wow.
For the survival of the Republic, the fate of all Jedi, for control of the Force itself.
Ooh. Dude, I'm not gonna lie. For some reason, I got goosebumps. I don't know if it was the music or what, but oh god, that's cool.
Hello, I'm Lucasfilm's Kristen Baver, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to the official launch of Star Wars: The High Republic. We have some fun surprises for you today, so without further ado, I'd like to welcome the luminous authors who are responsible for kicking off this ambitious
I hope this
publishing
turns out to be
initiative.
good.
We have Charles Soule, Justina Ireland, Kevin Scott, Daniel Jose Older, and Claudia Gray.
Ah,
Before we get to them, let's first start with Lucasfilm Publishing Creative Director Michael Seglain. Mike, this project has been a long time coming. We've been talking about it since Star Wars Celebration Chicago, but it started long before that. Can you take us back all the way to the beginning when this was first known as Project Luminous?
Project Luminous.
Thanks, Kristen. The concept of this initiative, the idea of an original, interconnected, cross-publisher event in its own corner of the galaxy has been something that we've wanted to do for several years, but the timing had to be right. As we neared the end of the Skywalker saga, we were finally given that green light to explore this initiative, to be bold. And so we looked to current high-profile,
should have been given the green light from the
authors,
get-go.
and that search led us to the 5 all-stars that you see before you.
So let's pass the metaphorical mic over to those all-stars right now. Set the scene for me. Once you get the call, how do you even begin to prepare for something like this? Do you do research? Do you just run around the house yelling with excitement? Because that's what I would do. Charles, do you want to take it first?
Well, I did run. I ran to my Blu-ray player, whatever you want to say, because the first place you began when you're building a new era in Star Wars is all the stuff that already exists. So I know I started by watching all the movies again, and really focusing on what I thought was impressive about Star Wars, what was meaningful about Star Wars to me, because we were, this job was to make something that was authentically Star Wars from the ground up, but also really fresh and new and special and powerful. And it had to be what all 5 of us, I didn't know who the other authors were at that time, which is kind of a funny thing. So I knew I was part of something. I didn't realize how big it was going to be or how close I would become with all the other people who are part of it, obviously. But I just started by looking at Star Wars and digging in deep and thinking about if I really had this opportunity that Mike had described to me to make kind of our own Star Wars, which is sort of what it was and has become. I can't believe it's actually happening. What would that mean to me? And so I started with the source material and just went from there.
Claudia, what was your response?
The Queen.
I probably
I can't stop saying
it's
that.
not the opposite reaction, but it's going to sound like it is. I started asking myself, what were the things that I loved in other epic sagas, I guess, because I loved Star Wars, had loved it for years, had been writing it for some time and felt like I was immersed in that. But what were the other things that drew me to other media, whether that's Dune or the Arthurian legends or whatever? Like, what are the big epic qualities that pull you in, or at least pull me in? That was where I began, I think.
And then you physically got to begin at a big epic place, which is Skywalker Ranch.
We did. We were lucky enough to have not 1 but 2 publishing retreats at the ranch.
Oh,
and what we
jealous.
did is we took all 5 authors. We took the publishing team. We took James Watt and Story Group, and we all went up there. And the first session was really just like what Claudia and Charles were saying just now. It was really about what we loved about Star Wars, what we wanted to see from Star Wars, what we wanted to read, what we wanted to experience, what we loved, even beyond Star Wars, like Claudia was saying, in terms of just general fiction and media, right? And we all came back with ideas, and then we had a second session where we really got to dive into what that story could be, which is obviously the High Republic.
What was that process like? Kevin, can you share some details?
Yeah, sure. So as Mike said, we were all there. There was Story Group, there was the editors from Lucasfilm, the 5 of us. And we spent a few days discussing Star Wars and stories.
You can thank this guy for a lot of good Star Wars canon material stuff too.
Enjoyed what we would like to see.
We really can.
And then the 5 of us broke
minus
out
Jackson the
individually
Rabbit,
and
not a Jackson
came up
fan.
with our own sort of answers
Other
to
than
those
that,
questions,
great.
and came back and almost pitched. Well, it was literally a pitch to the rest of the group. A setting, a story, some characters, where in the sort of general Star Wars timeline it could sit. And then we discussed that, and we pulled it apart, and we swapped some ideas around. And then when we were forced to leave Skywalker Ranch, because they did literally have to chuck us out, we all went home to our various homes, and worked up those ideas into 5 pitches, which we then sent in and waited to hear nervously which one would be chosen, or whether we'd be taking elements from each. And we only really heard literally as we were setting out for the second retreat.
And Daniel, I know one of the elements that you suggested, because I saw it up on that big whiteboard, was dinosaurs. So you want to talk a little bit about your process as well?
Dinosaurs. I mean, what else is there to say?
Not a huge fan of what he's written.
The funny thing is,
so
I didn't
far.
actually suggest that. I think someone else did, because I
think
kept bringing
Daniel
up
Jose
dinosaurs,
Older
and they did it
is
on my behalf, which I appreciate. But
I
we all
think
know
he's
there's
the
always
only
been
one I'm
dinosaurs
really
in Star
not-
Wars from
him and Justina
the
Ireland are
beginning.
the two where I'm like,
but it was
let's just
really
see how it
such a
goes.
fun way to just throw lots of things in the pot and stir it up. I have to say, having been through a lot of different creative processes and collaborations, this one really stands out in that it felt really supportive, and people were just really having a good time. We had snacks, we had coffee, we had tea, we just had fun. And to Cav's point, I guess we were pitching and we were genuinely standing up there and giving presentations, but it never felt like, all right, what are they going to do? And I got to do it better than this person or that person. It was never that. Like, everyone's ideas were amazing, and we all got really excited about all of them in different ways. And Story Group and all the folks at Lucasfilm were super cool. And we ended up just having a really good time and talking about story and Star Wars.
That's all we try to do
the beauty
here.
of it, right? Like, everyone had a seat at the table, everyone had a voice, and it was genuinely collaborative, which was fantastic. And there are pieces of everyone's pitches,
right,
in the end result, which is super exciting. But this is going to sound,
I guess it depends on what medium.
corny, I know, but
Daniel Jose Older and Justina Ireland are writing in,
and
because
being able to pitch story and talk story.
I wasn't a fan
really
of Last
was
Shot.
magical.
Wasn't a fan of Spark of the Resistance.
There was something that really,
of course, those are the only two things they've
lit
done
this
in Canon
spark in
so far.
everyone.
So,
and it was, call it the power of Star Wars, the power of the Force, whatever. But it was pretty amazing. It was really amazing.
Totally.
The ranch is such a magical place. It has so much history, and it's also just a beautiful property. Now, with the High Republic, we're entering a whole new era of Star Wars storytelling, 2 centuries before anything we've seen in the films. Can you give us a little bit of an introduction, maybe kind of a crash course, if you will, into what's so different about this time period?
Yeah, I mean, when we open up on this, we're centuries before Ep1, and it is a time of peace. And it is the Jedi Knights at their height. It is a golden age of the Jedi that we've seen hinted about, but we've never seen in current fiction, right? When we were up at the ranch, there were 2 things that really drove us once we hit upon the High Republic. The first one was a quote from Obi-Wan Kenobi, where he says, for over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic. And again, we've never seen that in current fiction. And what does that look like? And then while we were kicking around those ideas, it was Cav who asked the question, what scares the Jedi? And we thought, ooh, that's
I like that
an
concept.
interesting question. What does scare the Jedi? And you put both of those together and run with it. And that became the basis for the High Republic. On top of that, there is the newness of it all, which I think is really exciting. We're in an era where anything can happen.
That's right.
And we've never really been in that spot before since those original films. And I think that's what makes this so exciting and intriguing.
Cav, do you want to add anything to that?
So yeah, as Mike said, this is the golden age of the Jedi. This is when they're at their height. These are peacekeepers who've pretty much done their job exceptionally well. There's been peace for hundreds and hundreds of years. And so the galaxy has entered a period of prosperity, of progress. And that's changed the way the Jedi view themselves, view the Force, in some cases even view the laws of the Jedi as well. But most importantly, it's changed the way the Jedi operate. They're not hidden away in temples, and there's not just one temple on Coruscant. There are outposts and temples on every major planet in the Republic.
Cool.
And the Jedi are out with the people. They are a part of life. People are used to seeing them, and the people love them. And that gives a special responsibility to these Jedi to perhaps be a little more flexible in how they work, but also, above all, to be the beacon of light they need to be for an ever-growing galaxy.
Charles, do you want to talk a little bit
Yeah,
about
if you're in the public eye
some
like
of
that,
the inspiration that you were drawing on as well?
Absolutely. So while obviously the Jedi are a hugely important part of the High Republic, it's a big galaxy, and there's plenty of people in it and stuff in it that is not just these amazing space wizards
Thank
we all
God.
love so much.
It's not all just about the Jedi.
There's a whole republic. There's the High
Good.
Republic is a galactic government that is run by a very enlightened chancellor named Chancellor Lena So, and she has generated sort of a motto for the galaxy that has been by and large bought into, which is "We are all the Republic," which is a phrase that I think is meaningful, because it means that despite all of our differences, and in Star Wars, people are very, very different. They're from not just, different as, personality wise, but literally they're different species. They come from different worlds, completely different cultural backgrounds. But if they can all sort of rally behind the idea that we are all the Republic, many, many things can happen. Compromise can happen in a way that is refreshing. Divisions don't seem quite as divisive. It's a beautiful idea. And that is one of the organizing principles of the High Republic. And so the analogs that I know that I used as touchstones, and I think we all sort of drew from in different ways, were the ideas of Camelot, two Camelots. One is Arthurian Camelot, which, King Arthur and the knights and going on quests, and sort of this time of pomp and chivalry and codes and all of that.
So cool.
But with an eye towards sort of great drama and optimism. And then the other is the early 1960s in America, also called Camelot, the other Camelot, when the Kennedys were in the White House. And it was, generally speaking, not for everybody, obviously, but for many people, it was seen as a time of optimism and expansion for America. The moon program began, Apollo began, by the end of the decade, we'll be on the moon, various things like that. It was a time when many, many things seemed possible, and there was a reason to be optimistic and a reason to push forward. And the High Republic, in many ways, is similar. Chancellor So has a program of great works, which are huge galactic programs that are designed to kind of bring things forward and do cool things. And it's just kind of a tonal shift from anything we've really seen before in Star Wars. There's no galactic civil war. There's no shadow of the Sith all over everything. Like, everybody's like, okay, let's do some cool stuff. And they do. And that's the stories that we're telling.
Very cool.
But there's still strife in the galaxy. Charles, your book, Light of the Jedi, is going to usher us into this era.
God,
and it starts with something called the Great Disaster. What can you tell us about this ominous sounding event?
Well, it is a disaster. It is great in terms of its scope and scale. I do not know that the people involved in it would call it great. They would probably have a different name for it. But basically, there's a problem with hyperspace. Something really, really bad happens, and it begins to involve a very large swath of the Outer Rim. And the Light of the Jedi begins with that disaster, and the response of the Republic and the Jedi to it allows us to meet a very sort of broad group of new characters, which is really fun, because you're introducing, many, many, many new ideas, new characters, new people that hopefully the readers are going to really fall in love with quickly. And so the idea was to give all of those characters a crisis to respond to, because nothing exposes character more than responding to a crisis. And so it is huge. The Great Disaster takes up the whole first third of Light of the Jedi. It's a massive storytelling thing.
Wow.
But it's not just in Light of the Jedi, because one of the ideas that we wanted to do was to suggest that there are certain events throughout the entire High Republic story that we're telling that are being hit at different times by all of the storytelling. So Daniel's book, Justina's book, Claudia, Cavs, all of the stuff we're doing, they hit these events in much the same way that the Death Star's explosion rippled through many, many stories throughout Star Wars that we've seen. The Great Disaster is similar, and there will be lots of other cool events like that to come.
And that's a beautiful segue, because since all the books in the initiative are linked together,
a third of the
Justina,
book is the disaster.
Do you want to talk a little bit about how some of those events impact your book, A Test of Courage?
Well, there's a disaster and it's not great. No, actually, A Test of Courage follows 16-year-old Jedi Vernestra Rowe, and as she's kind of going on her first mission as a Jedi, she's been a Jedi Knight for a little bit, but she's still kind of not fully embraced where she is in her current life. And so she's sent on this sort of diplomatic mission because similar to what Charles pointed out, at this point, the Republic is expanding. And so there are member planets coming into the Republic all the time. And so part of Vernestra Rowe's mission is to go on this diplomatic mission to try to kind of convince this frontier planet to join the Republic, because they have some resources, of course, that would be beneficial. And they're all going on to see the sort of one of Chancellor So's great works, the Starlight Beacon, which is this massive beacon in space. Because if you know anything
Looks
about
like it's got a Jedi Temple spire
transmissions
on
in
it.
space, sometimes things don't go as far as they need to because you need those signal boosters and such. And on their way to go there, of course, things go horribly wrong. So now Vern, as she's called by one of her charges, and a bunch of other kids have to survive and try to figure out what exactly happened to their ship. Spoiler, it blows up. But I guess that's not really a big spoiler because it's kind of happens in the first act. So yeah, so it's really a way for younger readers to sort of have their High Republic moment, to have those adventures that we'll see in the other media. But it's also a way for if you're an adult reader who wants a quicker read, a kid's book is great because it's just engaging. There's just as much
That
Jedi,
is a lightsaber whip.
hot lightsaber action as any of the other places. But it's a smaller book. It's a shorter book, and it's really fun. It's a lot of fun. So yeah.
And there's a lot more characters getting eaten because you have to get rid of them.
I
the blood
love
and
it when a
gore.
character gets eaten. It's
I know.
Kristen, you and I have spoken about this before. I
I
love
love that. That's always your solution. You're like, we gotta get rid of this guy.
You're like,
Let
he's
them
gonna get eaten. In this case, we have a big explosion in the beginning, so we get to get rid of a lot of people that way. But it's all sort of
God,
off-screen,
don't get
so if
attached
you're
to
worried
anybody.
about your younger kids, it's still pretty fun.
Yeah.
Really kid friendly.
Yeah. And we're also getting a Marvel Comics series in the mix.
Yes,
Kevin, do you want to
bring
talk
it
a little
on.
bit about your endeavors there?
Sure, yeah. So the High Republic comic from Marvel, the ongoing series, sort of carries on from the end of Light of the Jedi, and it follows Ava Chris from the events of that book to her new posting, which is as Marshal of Starlight Beacon, which Justina mentioned. Now, Starlight Beacon is this immense station that is not just a Republic base, it's also a Jedi temple as well, and it's run by
like
sort of the Jedi Order and the Republic together. And so Ava is in charge of the Jedi side of things. But
Even
she's
the
not actual
artwork,
main
like,
focus
screams
of the book. We follow the story
classic
of Keith Trennis,
vintage Star Wars comics.
who, like
Okay, maybe not so much
Vernestra,
there,
is
but-
a Jedi who's just on the cusp. We literally see her in issue 1 be knighted as a Jedi Knight. And it's how she suddenly finds herself at the center of the galaxy, or so it seems to her, on this massive station where there is so much going on. And that suddenly she's standing shoulder to shoulder with Jedi of all different responsibilities, of different experiences. She's got her former master Skier. There's Ava Chris, who's just, been a major part of this recovery operation after the great discovery, as a bit of a hero to her. She's got this pair of the Bond twins, Terek and Serek, who literally share one mind between them.
That's cool.
And then one of my favorite characters is Starling Maru, who is a Kasurian, who is the master of multitasking, who literally makes sure that the station keeps ticking. And in the middle of this, she's got to work out what kind of Jedi she's going to be. And she doesn't always get it right. And so it's probably the nearest we've had to a team book when we come to think about Jedi. And everything comes through her point of view and her gaze as they, stretch out from the station, from the beacon, and start to explore the area of space they find themselves in.
Claudia, your book Into the
Cool.
Dark sounds at first blush kind
Yes.
of like the counterpoint to Light of the Jedi. As I understand it, we'll be seeing the Jedi,
Love
but
Claudia
you're also
Gray.
introducing some galactic pilots. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
The book overall follows some Jedi who are traveling to Starlight, but the great disaster occurs and they are marooned on this ancient abandoned space station that at first looks like a perfect harbor from all the chaos that's going on, but turns out to have many, many secrets of its own. So they're having this adventure away from everything else that is happening and don't know some of the bigger events that are unfolding. But as it turns out, some of the things that they're going to discover on this station will have repercussions for a very long time to come. And these Jedi are traveling in a private ship, which is where we meet Leox, Geode, and Affy. They are the crew of the vessel that takes them there. And I didn't want to do somebody that was going to be just like Han Solo, and I definitely didn't want to do Diet Han Solo You know, he's kind of a rogue, but he's less interesting. You know,
Like a great
Less
dialogue.
proud of best.
Less
What?
filling. Less filling, yeah. So I was like, okay, what is a template for a pilot who has some of this scoundrel energy but isn't Han Solo at all? And somehow my brain was like, you need to give 1990s Matthew McConaughey a spaceship.
All right,
And
all
see
right,
what
all
would
right.
happen. And that unfolds, as you might think, in ways that are glorious and maybe a little bit less so. Affy is much younger. She's the daughter of the owner of the shipping guild, who is learning the business by being the co-pilot. And the navigator Geode he's a complex personality. And I think I want to leave that to be discovered in the book, layer by layer.
Well, all I have to say that is all right, all right, all right. Now, Daniel, as the writer of the IDW All Ages comics, Master Yoda is front and center in your storytelling. What can you tell us about him and his crew? And before you start, I have
See
to
if he
say,
can win
I
me over
love
with
that
this.
Yoda has a crew.
Yoda has a crew. Finally. Look, Yoda's always been about the kids and, bringing up the next generation of Jedi. And that's exactly what we see him doing. But in this scenario, he's not tethered to the temple. He's not in Coruscant. They are out in the world, very much so. They're traveling around on an academic cruiser called the Starhopper. And it's a group of young Padawans who it's almost like a gap year. Like they're out there having adventures and everything goes terribly wrong. And there's, bad guys and epic fights and everything else. But at the core of the story, it is about Yoda and Lula Talisola, who's the young Padawan that was really front and center in this story along with him, and some of the folks that they meet along the way, and all of the learning that they do that's not in textbooks, but the more difficult real world learning that's involved with being in the world.
I love that. So it's like Space Rumspringa.
Cool.
And this is one of my favorite questions because I really have no idea, and I am so curious to hear your answer. Just who is Buckets of Blood?
First of all, you have to say it in all caps. Buckets of blood.
Buckets of Blood.
He's
Who is
like
that?
one of my favorite new Jedi. He's along for the ride with the Padawans, helping out.
What?
But basically, what he comes from is when I was a paramedic, there was always these legends in the field about a guy named Buckets of Blood, who referred to himself in the third person that way on the actual EMS radio, which I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to do anymore, and probably weren't then either. But when a job would come over, he would get on the radio and be like, "Buckets of Blood is on the way." And it was like so cool, partially because he's a healer, right? Like paramedics are healers. So it's this name that's literally soaked in gore, but he's really describing what as he says, he's like, I'm supposed to put the blood back in the body, not take the blood out, because he's not a fighter. He's a healer. And so that's Buckets of Blood. He's Chagrian. He's huge. He's intimidating, but he's very, very kind and gentle, actually. And I'm excited for everyone to see what he gets to do in this world, because there's a lot of fun to be had.
He's pouring the buckets of blood back into the body.
Pouring the buckets of blood back into in all caps.
And I'm going to take Buckets of Blood out right from the top, but I know
Tone it
it's
down there a
really
little
hard
bit,
to
buddy.
choose, but do you each have a favorite character besides Buckets of Blood?
As I run through the characters, and there's tons, right? Which is one of the really fun things about this, is that all of these characters are new. I mean, and there are some connections to characters you might have seen in other storytelling, but by and large, every single one of these people is new. Yoda, whatever. But and we all put a lot of ourselves into these characters and made them all really cool. So it's hard to choose one. But if I were to choose one right now, after having just flipped through the books that I wrote, the stories we're telling, all that stuff, I think it might be the bad guy. I think Markian Ro is very, very cool. He's very different than any of the other types of bad guys we've seen in Star Wars before.
Kind of look to him. A little bit, not so much. Starts
off in a place we haven't really seen a bad guy start off in a Star Wars story before, and the choices he makes and the choices he's going to make that you guys don't even, you have no idea where it's going to go. It's very exciting. So I think, building a new bad guy who's supposed to stand toe to toe, ideally,
story's no good without a good
amazing
villain.
villains we've seen in Star Wars in the past, has been a really invigorating challenge, and I think we did it. I'm excited to see what people think.
Awesome. Justina, how about you?
I'm sorry, Charles is Yoda, whatever. My 12-year-old self is so scandalized. I think, like Charles said, there are so many new characters. It's really hard to pick a favorite character, because honestly, my favorite character tends to be whoever
It's
I'm
hard to pick
writing
a
about
favorite
at
character
that
in Star
moment.
Wars as it is.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to take a reserve for this because there are characters that are not yet been introduced that are right now my favorite characters. So the character you don't know,
Okay.
that's my favorite character.
Okay.
Cav, how about you?
Follow that. It's really hard, especially when you're writing a book that has a team working together. I'd love Skier the Trandoshan, and it's been so wonderful to see people being drawn to him, even from just the concept art.
He's a Trandoshan Jedi. What's not to be drawn to?
He's complicated. He has issues.
He looks like a
as we'll
badass.
understand. And he does carry the secret. But what I love about it is his relationship with Keith, because it's a very different kind of relationship to sort of the master and apprentice relationship we've seen before. It's far more paternal, I think, while also being like a best friend. It's been really interesting and fascinating to explore, both in their current state, but also we flash back and we see Keith when she is younger, with Skier as well, and yeah, so he's very special to me.
Claudia, can you choose a favorite?
That would require me to choose between Leox and Geode, and I refuse. It's like that scene in Captain America, Winter Soldier, where he's hanging onto the helicopter and the building simultaneously. Like, I am hanging on that tight to both of them, and I will not let go.
I love it. All right, and Daniel, I feel like maybe I was too harsh saying you couldn't pick Buckets of Blood at the beginning, so go ahead.
Besides Buckets of Blood,
you can pick Buckets of Blood. I'll let you.
No, it's all right. Lula Talisola is like someone as a character I've just really come to find amazing in so many different ways. Sort of watching her, when you create characters, some just show up and they're like exactly all the things they are, like Buckets of Blood, and some kind of grow as you write them. And writing Lula and understanding who she is, her struggles with the Force, and really wanting to like be the best, but also wanting to be a team player like a Jedi are supposed to, and seeing how she functions as a friend and as a leader to her squad is so cool. And then Harvey Tolibao's art, that guy is a genius. Like, he's so incredible, and the way that he has brought all of these characters, but especially Lula,
it does
to
look
life,
good,
and just
even black and white.
Incredible elegance and artistry. It like has taken it to the next level, and I've learned things about her through his art that I didn't realize as the creator of that character. So it's really, really amazing to see that, and just to know that like there's this whole arc ahead of her in the world and the stories that we're telling, and all these cool things set to happen, and her own journey with the Force. And I'm just really excited for people to see it.
Also, I want to take a moment to talk about the villains because they need some love too.
Yes, bring it.
Justina, do you want to kick us off with maybe some information about the Nile?
The Nile.
Nile.
I mean,
Space Vikings.
No story is complete without a villain. And what's more awesome than pirates? And not like nice pirates, right? I think we're all kind of past the point of like Pirates of the Caribbean. These are space pirates and they're not nice. One of the things that's really great when you have a villain is, for me, the difference between villains and heroes has always been that limit, that heroes have a limit. They have a line they will not cross, whereas villains, all bets are off. And I think the Nile are the epitome of that all bets are off kind of villainy. They don't care about anything. And I don't want to spoil it because I almost did just then. And I can feel Charles sending me vibes. No spoilers. But they really have no limits. And I think when fans realize that they're not just out here like looting, pillaging, killing, they're even worse than that. I think they're going to realize that this is an all new Star Wars. We're also being very familiar. But one of the things I do think is really cool about the Nile is that if you think that they might do something bad, you have to make that even worse. And that's the level at which the Nile exists. It's not, we've kind of like compared them to like space Vikings, but they're really worse than the Vikings. So the Vikings had a code of honor. They had a system that they adhered to and they believed in, and the Nile believed in nothing.
And Claudia, I understand your book also introduces a different kind of villain for us.
Yes, we have the Drengir show up, and they are sentient mobile plants. And if that does not sound scary at first blush, I have to tell you, I don't even think it's been a month since hurricane. There were so many hurricanes this year. Was it Zeta came through New Orleans?
Zeta. That was the
Zeta,
one.
yeah. And it came through and took out several of our banana trees. They had to be chopped down with the machete. They're gone. They've already grown back more than a foot. They had started by the next day. It's like, oh, wait. And you start to realize this makes these villains very hard to kill.
Oh, no, that's terrifying.
And if you don't think plants have weapons, I mean, where do you think poisons come from?
Well, look at Groot.
Thorns.
From Guardians of the
They have
Galaxy.
an incredible capacity to heal, and
Wow.
they also do not share any kind of common feeling or way of thinking really with, I'm going to say, animals, including everybody in Star Wars we would consider people. They don't see any common ground there, and there
That's
is
awesome.
just no compunction
Dude.
about the destruction that they might cause.
That sounds wicked.
And they
All
eat
right.
people.
Yeah, like the Venus flytrap, you know.
I could see that not being for
Like,
everybody,
wait,
Definitely make them sound
but
a lot
that sounds
scarier.
cool. Me personally,
Also, they
anyway.
will eat you.
Yes.
And Cav, I think you're also working with our new species of villain.
What we got?
Yeah, we develop them more in the Marvel series as well. And as Claudia said, they are unstoppable. And once one seed, that's all you need. And then the Drengi are there, and you can't get rid of them. And they're intelligent as well. These aren't just mindless monsters. There is a very deep intelligence there that's linked. They have this weird telepathic root system that you use for the dark side of the Force. Oh, because they're also dark side.
What?
And so even
What?
though you may only have one Drengi, you're actually facing all of them. So yeah, they are a force to be reckoned with. And they have a particular link to one of our Jedi. But obviously, I'm not going to say which one because Charles will get upset. But more spoilers.
Yeah. Watch out. You guys got to watch out. Fear
I'm
my
just
wrath.
imagining the marketing possibilities behind like Drengir in a box. One seed is all you need.
Like a chia pet? No, I don't want that in my
Chia
house.
pets. There should definitely be chia pet Drengirs.
Oh,
But also
gosh.
the culinary
Drengir.
possibilities,
Drengir,
right?
like-
Love it. Yes, yes.
Sauteed Drengir,
Salads.
a little bit of spices.
Oh my god.
But the trouble with that is that they're not the food. We are.
Oops.
Sombering
This is
point.
why I don't like salad.
Salad doesn't like you.
I know.
It will eat you back.
It'll eat you.
Now, I'm sure many of our friends watching today haven't started down the path of the High Republic just yet. So what would you tell readers to expect going in?
I could take this one. I mean, I think, again, it's going to sound corny, but expect the unexpected, right?
Yeah, I
Like
knew you were
these
gonna say
are
that.
stories that are both very personal and very big and epic. They're, classic stories of good versus evil. They're stories of great heroism, of overcoming fear, and ultimately, because it's Star Wars, they're stories of hope.
I also think readers have to know that we are all really pretty much describing these books terribly because we have been with them for so long. Like it's been like a lifetime of like sitting with these stories and keeping them to ourselves. So I think a lot of the things that readers are going to like really be excited about, we're probably not talking about it, which is even more reason for them to pick up the books themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to follow on from what Justina said, the thing that's so exciting to me about these stories, and somebody who had a chance to read some of the advanced preview chapters that were posted on StarWars.com before Light of the Jedi's release, was saying it is so fun to literally have no idea what's going to happen next, because it's hundreds of years before.
That's right. Yeah.
And sure, Yoda's in it, whatever. So he's not gonna die, but like anything else can happen, and everything does, and all five of us, as well as Mike and Story Group and the editors,
this
and
is why
everybody
I'm so
involved in telling
excited
these
about High
stories
Republic,
took
because
that as sort of our guiding light. Like let's
man.
make the most of the opportunity to tell brand new Star Wars
Because
stories.
as an example,
so
like every Thrawn
if you're
novel
jumping in, you
that's
don't
come
know
out
how
so
this ends.
far,
You don't know.
that he's going to make it out because we know where that story leads in
brilliant.
Rebels.
We all love them.
Charles.
We all used to create this stuff.
And even
But,
with the prequels, we knew Obi-Wan was going to make it. We knew Anakin was going. Well,
in
we
the
knew it was
middle of
gonna
a bunch
happen
of
to
Star
Anakin.
Wars stories, and you really have no idea where it's going to go. And we leaned into that hard, and it's going to stay that way throughout the whole initiative, which is massive.
I also think along with that, it's that, and it's that if you're a hardcore Star Wars fan, you'll read these and there's so many things that you can chew on and, oh, cool, that moment. But if you have never read anything or seen anything Star Wars, you can also jump in and just say, these are amazing stories about magic and hope and, you know, blaster fights and all these other things that are so cool. So it's a great jumping in place, and also it's a great continuation.
Absolutely.
And Yoda, whatever.
And Yoda.
Yoda, whatever. I'm
And
so
not
gonna
nice
get you a
pirate.
shirt, Charles. It says, and Yoda, whatever.
I love that Justina was like pirates and not the nice pirates. You know, now I want to do nice pirates, a Star Wars.
The Pirates of the Caribbean or the Caribbean have really ruined it all for us.
Star Wars, nice pirates.
Next time you go to the ranch for that third retreat and you're watching Return of the Jedi, I want you all to have T-shirts that have a quote from this panel, like Yoda,
whatever. Nice pirates.
Not the nice pirates.
Not the nice pirates.
Speaking of kind of jumping into the middle of this initiative, as we are getting a couple of books, a couple of comics, right at the beginning of the year here, Mike, I wanted to put this question to you because I'm sure people are going to be wondering, is there a specific reading order that
I was wondering that earlier.
If they want to, experience this, from beginning to end?
I was wondering that earlier.
There isn't. That's sort of the beauty of it, right? Like, if you want to experience the whole thing, then reading them in release order is probably best. But if you're only reading one format, right? If someone says,
what happens if you get 3 books?
The Del Rey novels,
day?
You're still getting a complete story there, and that's the beauty of it, right? But if you're sharing this with your kids, let's say, or the flip side, your kids are sharing it with you, then you get the bigger picture. You get the most complete story. So I guess the short answer is you have to read all of them.
Oh, of course.
There's no wrong way.
There is no wrong way. Read them all and enjoy.
I guess release order it is.
I know we're here today because we're launching these new books tomorrow, and I'm so excited to finally get to read these first installments. But like Luke, my mind is kind of always on the future. Charles, can you give us some hints about what's coming next?
As far as what's coming next for High Republic, I know that this is coming out a day before Light of the Jedi and the Test of Courage come out. I think 2 days before the Marvel series begins,
kicking off Wednesday.
And shortly thereafter we get the IDW series and Claudia's amazing Into the Dark. So the first wave of projects is literally right around the corner. Like it's after so much time putting these things together, it's amazing to think that they're actually almost out. But there's also some other cool things coming out that will just continue the storytelling as we go forward. One of which I think is already out now, which is the first installment of the new short serialized fiction in Star Wars Insider. And that used to be a big thing in that magazine. The Star Wars Insider is obviously the Star Wars fan magazine.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to get a subscription.
And they used to run a lot of serialized fiction, and they stopped for a while, but it's coming back with the High Republic, which is great. So I wrote the first installment, which is called Go Together. It features two of the non-Jedi characters from Light of the Jedi, Joss and Pika Adren, having a little adventure. And it serves almost as a chapter 0 to Light of the Jedi. And then I will be writing another installment featuring those characters, which will almost be like a, Light of the Jedi +1, like a little epilogue to the epilogue of Light of the Jedi, which will come out, I believe, in the next issue of Star Wars Insider. And then thereafter, we move into just a pretty regular series of High Republic serialized fiction, which is really exciting. And that's just the tip of the iceberg about, all of the ways we're going to approach telling Star Wars stories in the High Republic in every possible way we can. It's really cool.
Justina and Cav, I think you also have some insider news.
Oh, we do.
Ooh. You want to say what it is?
Oh, I was doing a drum roll, Cav.
You ruined it.
Americans love palm and surfing stance. Don't you know that? Yeah, so Cav and I will be writing the stories of Starlight, which will be in the Insider fiction. It's going to be, I think it's monthly serialized fiction. Cav is doing the next story right after Charles's story, and then I'll have the story. So you'll have, it'll be a way for readers to kind of get that feeling of being on Starlight with Starlight's denizens. Cav, do you want to pick it up from there?
Yeah, I think so. In the first story that I write, First Duty, we see actually, so throughout a lot of the storytelling, as you can probably gather, we're dealing with the Jedi, but this is our way of seeing what it's like to be the people who are working alongside the Jedi.
The only canon I haven't really kept up with is the stuff from Star Wars Insider.
She is the first aide to the sort of head of the Republic head of the station. And she arrives in, like all good Star Wars characters, with history that will obviously catch up with her. She's a brand new species to Star Wars.
Not because I don't want
and
to.
it's how
just
then she has to cope with the fact that she not only has to do this new job on this amazing, huge station, but she has to deal with these space wizards who do things in a very different way. She's never really experienced them before. And she'll be sort of our eyes and ears to this entire world. And we will go through the various different departments, if you like, on the station, on the beacon, and some of the normal people who live there and work there, and what it'd be like to actually work and live within Star Wars. It's very
sounds
exciting.
interesting.
You both have new books coming out this summer too, I think, right?
Yes. So I have The Rising Storm, which is the
I knew they just announced that
second Del Rey novel in the series. Things have moved on a bit. Ava Chris is busy off in the Marvel comics, so we focus in this novel on Stellan Gios, who's another Jedi we've been teasing for a while now. And it takes place at the next part of the sort of the great works that we've talked about before, Chancellor So's great works, the Republic Fair, which is, I think, the World Fair for the Republic. It's right out there on the frontier. It's showing all the great things that happen in the Republic. It's a chance to see the excitement, the new technology that's available, and this is Star Wars, so things happen. And one of the things that happen is we introduce a new character called Ty Yorick, who is a slightly murky character. We're describing her as a saber for hire. She's a monster hunter. She's going to appear in more than just the novel, though, as well. She appears in Daniel's middle grade novel that's coming up. And also, we've been working on a brand new original graphic novel that I'm writing. I'm working with an amazing artist I've worked with before called Rachel Stott, and that delves a little bit more into Ty's life away from the events of The Rising Storm. We take place slightly before the novel, and explores where she came from and really how she views the universe and how she views the Jedi as well.
Justina, what
I've
about
got my
you?
work cut out for me.
But yeah, so
Between
my
this
next
and Disney
book
Plus,
will be a young adult book, which, if you know me from before Star Wars, that's kind of where that's my wheelhouse. That's my jams. And the title is Out of the Shadows, kind of a play off of Into the Dark, Claudia's book. And it follows Vernestra Rowe. So, we're seeing characters transfer media formats, as you'll see throughout the initiative, which is really probably the most exciting part of it. And then also Yoda, whatever.
Yeah, Yoda, whatever.
And then so you'll follow Vernestra Rowe and a bunch of other characters who you haven't met yet. So it's all secrets. So it's called Out of the Shadows, and it's a YA, and it'll be out sometime this summer. And then I'm also working on a manga with a Japanese writer through Viz.
We're getting a manga too?
Follow sort of the Jedi outpost Cav mentioned earlier, talking about
sick.
We see the Jedi out and among the people, and sort of in a way we haven't seen the Jedi before. And one of these ways we're going to see them is these outposts that are on these frontier planets, these smaller planets that don't necessarily have a strong Republic presence of their own. So the Jedi are kind of there to help. And so the mangas are going to follow that. And so I'm working with an author, and so that's going to be really cool because the Japanese author is writing the script, so it's going to be authentically Star Wars but also authentically manga. So I think that's probably something pretty new for a lot of Star Wars fans.
I've never read a manga.
Instead of the mangas,
I know Lost
we have
Stars
some of
has a
the mangas.
manga. I know they
Lost
just
Stars
did one for
manga,
Leia,
and
Princess of Alderaan,
but this is going to be an original.
Never picked
so
them up.
There's not going to be
Never done
a
it.
prose book to go with it, as we've seen in the past. So that's pretty exciting.
Daniel, what are you working on?
I have a middle grade coming out. I'm so excited about it. It takes place at the same time as The Rising Storm, Cav's Del Rey novel. And it focuses on two different Padawans, actually. One Padawan, Ram Jomaram.
I don't know if I cleared enough space on my
shelf. On the planet that the Republic Fair is happening on. And it's, like we've been talking about, one of these kind of out of the way remote planets that a lot of people don't go to. And it's his first time really getting a glimpse of the larger galaxy.
So I know,
all come into his
they said the comics are going to be
all
ongoing.
The trouble that would bring with it.
Are they just going to keep releasing novels too?
Because he's very mechanically minded. He actually really doesn't like all the stuff all the pomp and circumstance type stuff that goes along with being a Jedi. He just wants to hide in his garage and repair things, and he sort of uses.
I like how his
lightsaber is like. Not that he has a special force power, but he thinks mechanically. So his powers go are inclined in that direction. He also has a team with him that are creatures called Bombrax that help him out.
The
in
Gremlins.
garage. They're along for the ride. And as you'll see in the cover, his droid, that's actually a droid that they're riding on, V18, who is extremely boxy. And in fact, he had to paint purple so that people would stop confusing him for a crate and loading him onto starfighters and then sending him off planet. So hopefully that
looks like K9 from Doctor Who.
Has been down for some adjustments. So they've been attaching different parts to him to make him fly and be really great transportation on top of being a droid. We also get to follow Lula Talisola from the IDW comics into this middle grade. Race to Crash Point Tower is the title. And we learn a lot about, this is a chance to really learn about Lula's interior character and what she's thinking about and dealing about. She gets to hang out with Vernestra Rowe, which is really cool, and see, a Jedi who's just a little bit older than her and already a Jedi Knight. And that's inspiring and exciting and brings up all kinds of questions for her. So there's lots of great fun to be had.
Claudia, how about you?
Oh yeah, I want to know.
What can
Bring
you
it
tell
on,
us?
Claudia.
I am working on something which I am not allowed to tell you anything about, except that it exists and I am working on it. So.
Wait.
All right.
Wait.
It exists. It's real.
No.
You got this.
No. She's not doing
Mike,
Lost Stars
anything else you
2,
wanna
is
add?
she?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think the thing that folks should know about all of these stories
probably
is
not.
that they really are just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh my God! If she's doing Lost Stars
the stories
2,
we're
I'm
telling of the High Republic.
Oh,
and in
I'm
fact, all of
dead.
the books that we're talking about today are really just phase 1 of the program.
All right. And how long does phase 1
Phase
last
1.
for? Can you give us a little bit more about that?
Sure. Yeah. Phase 1 runs through 2021 into 2022. I'm not going to tell you how far it goes into 22, but I can say that there will be a steady stream of books and comics and magazines coming your way on a monthly basis, which is really exciting.
Oh, that sounds so exciting. Is there perhaps just a little bit more that you can tell us today? Anything?
Sure. I can say that phase 1 is titled Light of the Jedi. Phase 2 is titled Quest of the Jedi.
What?
And phase 3 is titled Trials of the Jedi. But that's it. I have to keep some mystery here. But when we talk about this being a multi-year initiative,
well done,
that is true.
Lucasfilm.
We are absolutely playing the long game here, which is very exciting.
Yes.
That said, I do believe you have some news to share, Kristen.
Should have been doing
I
that
do
from the
indeed.
get-go.
As you know, every Thursday you can find me hosting This Week in Star Wars, but starting later this month, we'll be launching a brand new bi-monthly Star Wars The High Republic YouTube show hosted by the one and only Christina Ariel. And I think we have a
Felt like I was
special
gonna sneeze,
message from
sorry.
Christina right now.
Thanks, Kristen, and hello, Star Wars fans. I'm Christina Ariel, and I am the host of the brand new series, Star Wars The High Republic Show. If you're anything like me, you probably got a lot of questions about this exciting new era of Star Wars. And luckily for you, I'm going to be sitting down with the creative forces behind the High Republic to get those answers. Each episode, we're going to take a deep dive into the mythology, characters, and stories we know you're going to love from this exciting new series. So whether it's the evolution of characters, minutiae of story, or how the High Republic will be brought to life on different platforms, nothing will be left undiscovered by me and my rotating cast of panelists and celebrity guests. And there may be an exclusive reveal here or there, so you're definitely going to want to tune in. So join me January 27th, 2021 for the premiere of the all-new Star Wars The High Republic show on StarWars.com and the Star Wars YouTube channel. I hope to see you there, and may the Force be with you. Kristen, back to you.
I'm so thrilled to welcome
This
Christina
is
to our crew.
insane.
We also have some exciting news from EA and Motive Studios.
What?
Starting tomorrow, January 5th, Star Wars Squadrons players will be able to add a unique lightsaber hilt inspired by the High Republic era to their cockpit flare.
In addition, it'll be fun for fans
Oh
to see
my
Easter
God.
eggs and tie-ins pop up that really help to build out this era. Some of these have already been seen in books and comics. And a few months ago, ILM X Lab entered into the era of the High Republic with their VR tale, Temple of Darkness, which is part of the Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge experience. You might even see Jedi Padawan Adi Sunzi show up in the books and comics to come.
Oh, that
Also
better be coming to
launching tomorrow, January
PSVR.
5th, is the special edition bundle of Light of the Jedi from Out of Print. This bundle features exclusive cover artwork of
That's
the
a
book, is
gorgeous
signed by
cover.
author Charles Soule, and comes with some really cozy looking socks and a special enamel pin.
Could do without the
With
socks,
that,
but the
is
pin's
there
pretty cool.
anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Yeah, I would like to say thank you. Thank you first and foremost to you, Kristen, for hosting. to our amazingly talented publishing partners,
That's
our
a lot,
amazingly
man.
talented authors.
All I'm gonna say is this
you
better
know,
be as good
they
as
are
what they're
truly
letting on.
all-stars. They have poured their
I
heart and
hope-
souls into
I
this
hope this
for
doesn't backfire on
years.
them.
I am so excited to see the reaction. I'm so excited to have their books finally come out. I cannot thank them enough. Aside from just being amazing authors,
is
they are
huge.
just great human beings. And then last but certainly not least, thank you to the fans. You know, thank you for reading, for your patience, for your excitement, for your support. I know this has been a long time in coming. And,
Yeah, this was supposed to come out in
I
August
thank you
last year, I think.
for waiting. You know, it's really an honor and a privilege to tell Star Wars stories. We don't take that lightly. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And thank you for reading. And I hope you enjoy this grand new adventure.
This is going to be
Thank you to the
huge.
panelists and to our readers. Check back for more news and announcements on starwars.com/The High Republic and This Week in Star Wars. And as always, may the Force be with you.
Cool panel. Okay, so why? Don't throw up that Spock sign, Claudia. What the hell? Okay, so is that the end of that? It looks like it is. Okay, so there's nothing else past this, is there? Is it just pictures of... Oh, yeah, we're not going to play all that. Okay. Wow. That's just... Wow, I'm going to go ahead and click out of this, see if that disappears. It does. Guys, oh my God, there is so much coming out. Some things to take away from this, man. Look, the biggest thing that I'm excited about for this whole thing, and I said at the beginning, at the top of this video, how they're unhindered by where they can go with their story. They brought that up during this panel. The other thing I'm really excited about, though, is that they actually have a plan. They're playing the long game, like they said. 3 phases. So if you know the first phase is into what, next year, the beginning of next year, we're gonna get a phase a year. That's insane. That's cool, and it encompasses a lot more mediums than I thought it was going to. I didn't know about the monthly fiction and the Star Wars Insider magazines, and the mangas. Really excited about this. I'm over the moon. I can't wait for this. I can't wait to delve into it, because think about this also. Not only are we getting all of this awesome High Republic stuff, hopefully it's awesome. I hope to God this isn't crap. But we're getting all these other novels. You know, the Thrawn Ascendancy, Greater Goods coming out. We're getting all these other things that are still happening during the Skywalker saga timeline. I didn't clear enough space on my shelf. When I brought everything in here, I left some empty space right here, because I don't know if you guys can see or not, but my finger is right. I mean, right there's Dooku Jedi Lost. I keep that at the beginning. And I've got maybe 2 foot of space, 1.5 foot of space. I don't have enough room. I just don't. I'm going to have to rearrange, because that's way more than I thought was coming. And the fact they're doing 3 phases, man, that excites me. Well done. Yes, good job. That's what we should have been doing from the get-go. I just really... I don't want to say I'm scared or paranoid that this is going to suck. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to say that. But I'm really hoping, for Lucasfilm's sake, that this is as good as they're letting on. And you know, we've heard a couple people online already who got to read some of the books, and they said they're really good. That's a good sign. But it's just, I really, really hope this is good for Lucasfilm's sake, because, you know, Jay said on the podcast several weeks ago, if it doesn't work out, then we're going back to episode 10, most likely, in his opinion. And I don't want to say he's wrong. And I really don't want to say he's right, because I don't want to go back to the Skywalker saga after this. We don't need another Skywalker film. I want new stuff. And this is exactly what I was asking for. New characters, new timeline, new events happening, stuff that I'm going to be surprised of when it happens. Nobody's safe. You don't know who's going to make it out alive and who's not. This sounds awesome, dude. I can't wait. That was a lot more information than I was expecting. I should have known we were going to be getting some info on it, especially with it dropping tomorrow. Guys, are you excited for High Republic? And let me know, which part of this are you looking forward to the most? Is it the comics, the novels? I just, like I said, man, between the Disney Plus shows and now this, we're going to be busier than hell here keeping track of all this. And I'm going to be busier than hell on the mobile app trying to keep it updated as well. So this is going to be a hell of a ride. I can't wait. This is absolutely awesome. So guys, let me know in the comment section, what do you think of this panel? What are you excited for the most? What are you not excited for? Do you think it's going to be good? Do you hope it's going to be good? Do you think it's going to be bad? Just let me know, man. Just keep it civil. It's all I ask. And yeah, man, that was cool. Until next time, this is Brian signing off, guys. And may the force be with you.